Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum here with some words of wisdom and hopefully some interesting guidance today. And we'll see what we think, but we'll give it a minute here, let everybody pop on, and then I'll lay out some interesting things. So, one of the things that I think is interesting right now is because the flip screen thing has gone away, I need to make an adjustment to where I look in order to have it look like I'm looking at you. So the place that I look is the Believe pillow. And for today's early morning intuitive guidance, that feels like a very important place to look. Believe. Believe, believe. Good morning, Catherine. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. You're the first one popping on today. We'll give it a minute, let everyone else sort of show up to the party. Thank you for the sunrise. Very pretty, very pretty. Good morning, Gwen. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. So let's just start with some breath. Nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And another one. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's do a little tapping on the chest. Just kind of centering ourselves, grounding ourselves. Good morning, Abigail. Glad you are here. Getting the practical rebels lined up here, which is good because we have something very important to talk about today. Consequences. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Doing great. In through the nose, out through the mouth. All right. So I want to give it a minute until we have more of us on here. And I'm wondering, we'll see, I don't know, algorithm changes, etc., how easy it is for people to find me at this point in time. But we'll see if we can get some more of the regulars on here. So what I want to talk about today is consequences. And I may break it up. Good morning, Bobby. Welcome. Glad you are here. Good morning. Good morning. I may break it up into several days of discussion because I really want us to dive more deeply into this particular topic because I think it's so ripe for our times. And so I'm just going to take a first section of Taking the War Out of Our Words, The Art of Powerful Non-Defensive Communication by Sharon Ellison. And I want to add a word here. The art of powerful non-defensive communication and living. Living. This is a way of life. This isn't just about communication, although that's a huge piece, right? Theme of the day, consequences. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. So, to frame this up, because I like to, with all of you, do bigger picture. Yes, we may talk about some very specific things, but I like to put it into the context of bigger picture. Good morning, Mel. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So as I said at the beginning, now I look at my Believe pillow to make sure that my eyes are lined up kind of looking at you. When you're a brown-eyed person, you can kind of get away with not looking directly at somebody. When you're a blue-eyed person, they can see the centers of your eyes and kind of get a sense of, she's not really looking at me. So I attempt as best as possible to stay looking at the Believe pillow. And that's a useful word today, a useful word. So let's see. Let's do a couple more breaths because I need them. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. So, good morning, Jonelle. Welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Good morning. Good morning. So, looking at my Believe pillow so that it looks like I'm looking at all of you. Good morning, Nancy. There's Nancy. Awesome. Great. Taking the War Out of Our Words, The Art of Powerful Non-Defensive Communication by Sharon Ellison, and living. I'm adding in and living. This is a way of life. And here is one of my opportunities to practice, you all. So, first let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what my initial reaction was. And it was a reaction. And that part's still available for you to witness. And now we're moving into this. And so as I was standing here muscle testing this morning, my 3 stacks of cards. Good morning, Cheryl. Welcome. Glad you're here. We have a really powerful opportunity here today. And so I'm glad all of you are here, because this one, please stay till the end, because there's many sections here that I think are vastly important. Vastly important. Standing here muscle testing the 3 decks, nothing tested strong, which I was not surprised about. Then I asked about Tosha Silver. Nope, that one was weak. And then I asked about taking the war out of our words. And as I was muscle testing that, I already knew that that was it. And I already knew that whatever I opened to was going to be spot on. Good morning, Nancy. Haven't seen you in ages. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a very powerful conversation we're going to have today. So, and there's no accidents, right? There are no accidents when people show up here, right? So, where to begin? Okay, Spirit, give me the guidance. Where would you like me to start? With what happened? Duh. All right. So, yesterday, many of you know that I am an ardent supporter of the groups that are working diligently to get the Line 5 oil pipeline shut down. Good morning, Beth. Glad you are here. For those of you who are unfamiliar, it's a foreign company. They run their pipeline through all of northern Wisconsin, including across reservation land. They have run across the Bad River Indian Reservation without permission for the last 13 years. The tribe it's a small band. They have expended a significant amount of time, energy, etc. I can do that, yes. To counter this behemoth company that is trespassing on their land. So it goes across northern Wisconsin. It goes under the Straits of Mackinac, through our Great Lakes. 2 pieces of information that are useful with that. Our Great Lakes hold 21% of the world's fresh drinking water. 21% of the world's fresh drinking water, and 40 million people depend on those bodies of water for drinking. So this is and then it goes back into Canada. It does oil, natural gas. It was built in the 50s, early 50s. It was designed to be a 50-year pipeline. It is now pushing its 72nd year. There's significant deterioration. Yes, and this is all of what's going on, and this is a part of it. So let us link arms here. Let us link arms. We are not going to roll over. We're not caving in, right? So there is, I'm going to keep talking about the pipeline because I think it's also representative, right? And it leads into the story of why we're reading out of this book today at all, okay? These are pieces coming together. We are here at this point in time for a reason. Here's my believe pillow. So, 71-year-old pipeline. It has already had 2 anchor strikes that, thank God, didn't break it, but did damage it. And the company that runs this pipeline, Enbridge, is very cavalier about this whole process, right? So, they recently had a 73,000 gallon oil spill in Wisconsin, which they're being pretty cavalier about. Anyway, Michigan, the state of Michigan, has been suing Enbridge, working their way through court systems, blah, blah, blah. Monday, there were opening arguments for Dana Nessel, the Attorney General for Michigan, to address the judge who's going to hear this, and Enbridge. Their attorney was present, so it was opening arguments basically. There was a watch party that I participated in. Good morning, Sue. Glad you're here. This is a yeah. So there was a watch party that videotaped the proceedings. Too much information. Back to the focus. Those of us who were on the watch party were, after the fact, sent the court's recording of the proceedings. So it's the opening arguments for Enbridge and for the state of Michigan. So one of my things I've taken on is making sure people know what's going on. There are so many people who have no idea, so many people who live on the Great Lakes who have no idea that this peril even exists, right? So one of my jobs is opening my mouth, my God-given mouth, and indicating my thoughts about this. So when we were sent the video, I forwarded it to some friends because I figured they were interested in this, given that they live in Michigan. And I posted a link on Facebook. And so the little bit that I just explained to you is the little bit that I put in my post. Within minutes, my post was taken down. I was censored by Facebook. And what they sent, it's a thing that pops up. It comes in an email, and it basically says, we've taken down your post. We think it displays disinformation. Thank you, Gwen. Yes, that was one of the things I was going to say. So let me grab a little piece of paper here. If any of you want it, I will send it to your emails. And this is coming on the heels of Meta, the company that owns Facebook, saying that they were taking down all of their fact-checking stuff. So explain to me, please, how if you're taking down all of your fact-checking stuff, now you're censoring a piece of information that is coming directly from the court system. I don't get this, right? And there's no recourse. It's not like it says, we're going to review what you've posted and then we'll give you an opinion. It's, you're done. You're done. So, to me, that is censorship. To me, that is censorship. And to me, it is also a pretty clear sign, again, that we are moving into a far more fascist society, and I'm not going to roll over easily. So, I posted on my personal Facebook page that I had been censored and what had been censored. And so, with the taking the war out of our words, the piece that I picked out, and again, I'm going beyond communication here. I'm going to living. This is our life, right? This is when we start losing our freedom of speech. This is a significant thing, a hugely significant thing, okay? So, reactive, I got angry, and I posted on my page that I had been censored, and I put up a picture of what the email looked like, what the image looked like that basically said, you can't put this up, and we're not giving you any recourse to discuss it. So my first thought was, I'm done with Facebook. I'm picking a different platform. I will do my videos through a different platform, etc. That is an option. That is an option. There are other options. And so I thought, options. Taking the war out of our words talked about consequences. And when we predict consequences, how do we go about doing so effectively? right? So I went to the section, if you have the book, it's page 192. And again, I may put this over the course of a couple of days because there's 4 parts to it. But I really want to dive in, not just skim the surface. And I want you thinking about this in terms of how does this impact your communication, right? And your communication on platforms. If this is going to happen, if we're not allowed to share the things that matter to us, how long are you willing to tolerate that? How long are you willing to tolerate that? To me, that's kind of like being in a relationship where the other person says, don't say that, you can't say that, shut up. Anywho, evaluating the selective consequence. So I'm thinking I've got options here in terms of how do I respond to this censorship. I can leave the platform completely. I can seek out different platforms. There's one called School that someone suggested to me. I reached out to my my virtual assistant and she said, check out School, see what you think of that, and we can do some things, blah, blah. So I'm just going to read. So she's talking here about 4 standards to evaluate an effective prediction, a consequence that you're going to put out there, right? So it says, once we have thought about a consequence we want to articulate, we can evaluate it according to the following 4 standards for an effective prediction. And this first one made total sense to me, so that's the one I want to share with you. And again, I want you thinking about the circumstances in your life where, I mean, certainly as parents, those of us who've been parents, right? Sometimes you hit them with the whole shit, right? You're mad, you know, you're never going to drive the car again, ever, kind of thing, right? So the first one of these is select as small a consequence as possible to meet your need. Select as small a consequence as possible to meet your need. So perhaps I might decide that having posted what I've posted now, indicating I've been censored, showing the picture of what the censorship looked like. Good morning, Angie. Glad you're here. Perhaps that's sufficient. It may not be. We'll see. But over the course of the days that we're talking about this, know that this is what I'm going to be doing, is walking through my options and making a decision about which consequence I'm going to deploy. War language right there. Anywho, select as small a consequence as possible to meet your need. Having made an initial selection of the consequences, you can ask yourself, is this the smallest consequence available that addresses the problem I want to solve? So the problem I want to solve is Facebook having censored something that I posted. Small consequences can create positive change more effectively than large ones. And again, that may run counter to what you think. But as we go through this stuff, I think you're going to be like I was. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Small consequences, yes, can deliver positive change more effectively than large one. If your supervisor told you at 4 p.m. that you have to finish typing a document before 5 p.m. or it would show up on your performance review, you would probably feel pressured and be likely to make errors. If you were told to type the document by 5 p.m. or else stay until you finished, you would probably feel less pressure, make fewer errors, and still be motivated to finish as quickly as possible. Okay, so can you see the difference there? She's got more examples, but I just want to make sure we note the difference there. Because we like to think, or we've been trained to believe in our warlike society, that you hit them with everything you got. We're certainly seeing that happening now, aren't we? That's not the most effective method. That is not the most effective method. Okay, so remember Marcus and Sally. Marcus and Sally were the married couple that when something was bothering him, he would just get sullen and quiet, and then she would start poking at him to try to figure out what was going wrong. It says, when Marcus wouldn't talk to Sally about what was bothering him, she sometimes threatened to end the relationship. Is that a big consequence or a small one? Blink, blink. If you can't talk to me when you are upset, we might as well not even stay married. Uncounted threats of rejection have been tossed out by people trying to persuade someone to talk, have sex, buy a certain home, agree to a vacation, or stop watching football. Any of you ever threatened that? Well, if that's how it's going to be, I'm out of here. Yeah. When Sally asked herself what she needed most when Marcus was brooding, she realized it was to not be affected herself when his glowering energy filled the room. So what she needed wasn't a divorce. What she needed was peace for herself. To this end, along with predicting that she would not try to convince him to talk anymore, she sometimes also predicted, if you don't want to talk, then I will go in the other room and do something else. If you change your mind or get in a better mood later, I'd like to spend time with you. Wow. Wow. If we are in power struggle, we often predict consequences that exceed what we need to protect ourselves. Hear that again. If we are in power struggle, and I certainly felt that power struggle with Facebook, who are you, Facebook, to take down something so important as taking care of the Great Lakes? You know? We often predict consequences that exceed what we need to protect ourselves. So there was also the little vignette in the book where someone was backseat driving and the spouse had it, right? So if you don't stop bossing me when I drive, I'm never going anywhere with you again. Little bit extreme. By selecting the smallest consequence necessary, simply driving the route we want to and not arguing about it, we are much more likely to follow through on our prediction than if we threaten to take separate cars forever after. When I worked with parents and children with ADD, oftentimes parents got highly reactive to their kids' pretty provocative behavior at times. Stop climbing the curtains or I'm going to kill you, you know? When I worked with them, and so I was behind glass. They were playing with their child on the floor. They had a little microphone in their ear so they could hear me. The gist of it often was providing consequences that didn't blow up the whole thing, right? Because if you say, we're not going to Chuck E. Cheese now because you threw the toy, the kid has a meltdown, you respond with anger, straight down the drain it all goes, right? Unless an opportunity there would be, you need to go pick up that block and you need to bring it back over here. If you choose to do that, we can keep playing. If you choose not to do that, I'm going to go sit in the chair. Something that's enough that hopefully the child complies, but not so off the wall that you trip off this huge power struggle between the two of you, right? Same thing with married couples, same thing with Bonnie and Facebook. So, good morning, Barb. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. How do we apply the smallest consequence possible to meet our need? Again, we are not trained to do this. We are trained to throw the whole kitchen sink at it. So here's an opportunity. You're going to watch me walk through this over the next several days as we work our way through this part of the book. And at the end of this, I will make a decision about whether or not I'm staying on Facebook. If I choose not to stay on Facebook, again, it's going to be the smallest consequence I can possibly engineer. So do we merely shift to another platform? Do I leave my Facebook pages active and indicate where people can find me instead? Do I, there's lots of options here. And again, I want to demonstrate working through this process to arrive at the healthiest consequence possible. That's what I'm aiming for. So, questions, comments. If you would like to have me email you the video, please put it in the feed here, email video, and I will send it to you. If I don't have your email, please private message me with your email. and I will send it to you. And I think you're going to find this rather hysterical, that if you watch these court proceedings, what you will see is both attorneys doing absolutely what I'm talking about here. Even if the other attorney said something that was provocative, the responding attorney was just very matter of fact, stating their truth about it. I believe they were respectful, Mr. This and Mr. That. It was very formal. And there's something to be said for that. There's something we've lost as we've gotten disrespectful with each other. So that's it for today. Those of you who have the book, you might want to, it's page 192, you might want to read this little section, this little chapter, and see where we're going to be going. But the first one, again, was select as small a consequence as possible to meet your needs. I love this. I just think this is so helpful. So, and I've now worked my way around to believing that the censorship that happened yesterday is in divine right timing and divine right order, and affords me an opportunity to practice for myself and to demonstrate for all of you walking through this process in a mature adult way, not in a reactive, I'm going to throw a hissy fit way. So have an awesome Wednesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.